Greetings. Today we're going to be talking about understanding the pricing of medical laboratory tests. Did you know that one medical laboratory test can cost you one bag of 10 kg cement? That is just a scale to show you how much a medical laboratory test really costs in comparison to other basic commodities. We cannot deny that the prices of medical laboratory tests are a bit costly in Zimbabwe, and not everyone can afford them. Many rely on medical aid to cover a portion of the price, and those who do not have medical aid will have to sacrifice their savings or earnings to be able to get a medical laboratory test. Today we'll discuss the cost and pricing of medical laboratory tests so that people can appreciate and understand the logic and the reasoning behind the prices that you are charged, right? Our objective is to help people understand, like I said, why labs charge the prices that they charge, and also to provide a little insight for any potential investors in the medical laboratory field. We now know that we need medical laboratory tests to help doctors come up with the most accurate conclusion of what patients are sick with so that they can give them the best possible treatment. So medical laboratory tests need certain elements to operate, and we are going to list these three essential elements and also explain how these elements contribute to the pricing of medical laboratory tests. So the first element is equipment. To carry out medical laboratory tests, you have to have the right equipment. And these equipment can be called instruments, which have the capacity to carry out a particular test. So lab instruments are very complex. They operate under scientific principles that are known and proven to be capable of pointing out the presence or the absence of a disease. An example of a well-known lab equipment is the microscope. A microscope is an instrument that magnifies tiny particles which cannot be seen with the naked eye. Using the microscope helps us to see and identify organisms that are known to make people sick. For example, malaria. Malaria is a deadly disease caused by a parasite that is found in our blood. When we look at our blood like this, we cannot see that parasite with our naked eyes. But if we use a microscope, we can. So microscopes help confirm or deny known diseases, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the equipment used in labs are quite sophisticated. That's why some of these instruments can cost as much as a car. Just to buy an instrument that analyzes blood can cost up to the value of a car or the value of 15 cattle. So the technology, expertise, and resources that are used to make these instruments is what make them cost a lot. And that's why some of the prices that are charged for some tests are very high, because the people that invest in this field would have used up a lot of money, would have used up a lot of capital just to buy the equipment that they use. And this money has to be recouped. This money has to come back. This money has to give returns. So that's one reason why medical lab tests are quite costly, because they use costly equipments that need a lot. So number two, reagents. Once we have the equipment, we will now need test reagents. Reagents are what instruments use or consume during sample processing to serve their purpose of producing a valid lab test result. So let me explain. You need a pot to cook, right? To cook up a meal. You cannot eat the pot. So after buying the pot, you will need to buy your ingredients, right? The ingredients will be used to prepare the meal that you eat. So in this context, the prepared meal is our lab result, right? This is what we're aiming for. This is what we are trying to produce. And the ingredients in this context are our reagents. Reagents are what we use to process samples so that we can get a valid test results, right? And in this context, the pot is our instrument or the equipment that we use to process our samples so that we can get to process our samples using reagents so that we can get a valid test results. So we need reagents to process samples and to produce the test result that we need to care for the patient. And we cannot process or produce anything without our lab equipment. So using our earlier example of a microscope, to view blood under a microscope, we need reagents, right? We need the reagents to prepare and process the blood so that the parasites become visible. So if we just have our blood in our microscope here, we cannot actually see the parasites because the blood is just raw blood and we cannot work with raw blood. The raw blood has to be processed and it is processed using these reagents. So without these reagents, we cannot see the parasites even if we have the microscope, right? So this is important. So medical lab reagents are scarce and expensive in Zimbabwe, mostly because they're important. They're imported, not important, imported, like they're brought in from other countries. So English, forgive me. So to solve this problem, an effort has to be made to start manufacturing medical lab reagents locally, right? So that they can become more accessible and so that they are more abundant in the market. Or to relax import tariffs and conditions so that more people have the capacity to import them. And once more people are importing reagents, they are more easily accessible. And when they are more easily accessible, their prices reduce. But as for now, our medical reagents are quite expensive because they are scarce. So our third point is personnel. Once we have our equipment and reagents, the only thing left will be to find people who are qualified to operate the instruments using the reagents to produce a valid lab result. This is not easy and it takes a high level of skill and expertise from medical lab scientists and technicians to execute because lab work is very specific and sensitive. It's different from tasks such as washing dishes because it needs maximum attention and concentration when measuring the multiple parameters that are involved in lab processing, such as volume, mass, temperature, time, speed, and more. So we need to do this with much precision and accuracy to produce quality results. And this is hard work. So lab workers need to be rewarded accordingly because it won't end well if they work under the frustration of insufficient funds. So we have our equipment now, we have our reagents. We also need people, and people need to be trained. This training costs a lot of money, and they need to be compensated for their hard work and labor. They have to be rewarded, and this is not cheap. So these are the three reasons why lab tests cost a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources and a lot of effort into producing a good lab results. So that will help in the saving of patients' lives. Remember, lab test results are crucial in serving and saving patients' lives. So it has to be well done. So this is a call out to all investors. Invest in medical labs. It's a crucial sector that will give good returns and will help in the development of the country. So contact your nearest lab for more information. This video was done by Golden Cloud, exclusively by Golden Cloud. No references in these types of videos because this is what we do. This is our main area of specialty. Thank you. Subscribe. Subscribe. If you like what you see, subscribe and share.